But anyway, today, guys, we're talking to Kevin Pierson, and so we're super excited to have him during this interview session to ask him a question. So this year, 2024, our theme for the year is authority. And what we started out talking about was claiming, we're talking about authority. Exclamation point, period, quotations, all bold, however, all caps, just authority. And I absolutely love it when I see people walking and operating in their own authority, right? And whatever that looks like. And I see it looking differently on so many different people. And it's not an arrogance. It's an authority. It's a place of confidence. It's a place of them doing their thing in their business, in their organization, or whatever. And so, Kevin, literally, like when I see you come on the scene of anything, because Kevin is also an ambassador for South Fulton Chamber of Commerce, the Greater South Fulton Chamber of Commerce. And Kevin be on it. It's like he come there to work. He didn't come. He will socialize a little bit, but what we got to do? What we got to set up? We ready to set up? We ready to do this? So he comes on and he's ready to do. He volunteers and he serves, and it's just amazing to watch. So you just never know who's watching you, right? That's what they always say. So, Kevin, we just want you to just introduce yourself and tell us just a bit about you, whatever it is that you want us to know, yeah, and then tell us about your business.
Fantastic. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, whenever you may be seeing this. My name is Kevin Pierson. I am a State Farm agent here in Fairburn, Georgia. My office actually has been here 5 years this year. Makes 5 years. Thank you. With State Farm.
Hey.
Prior to State Farm, I worked in banking for 12 years. But I've worked in insurance and financial services since '07. So I've been in the industry for a while. My family also lives here in South Fulton. So me and my wife have bunch of kids. So we have a 21-year-old, 13-year-old, yes, 13-year-old and two 3-year-old twins, Dallas and Dakota. And our 13-year-old is Liam, and Zahir is our 21-year-old. So we have pretty big age gap there. Originally from Houston, Texas, with my mom being in the military. My last stop was Warner Robins, Georgia. Not sure if you're familiar, but been in Georgia since the late '90s, and came here as our last stop, and probably will always stay here in Georgia. So that's kind of my background and who I am.
Awesome.
Okay.
That's amazing. I would have never thought you had a 21-year-old down to a
Oh,
3-year-old. No,
yes,
sir.
yes,
Well,
yes.
awesome. That is
You
that
got it.
is so beautiful. So Kevin, the question that I have for you is, how did you, so look, before I ask the question, we were talking about authority. Claim it, own it, and work it, right? And so
Yes.
obviously you do all of those, all right?
Hmm.
But what we want to talk to you about and want you to share with us is how to own it, all right? And so the
Hmm.
question I have for you is, how did you accept that you have the authority to produce change, meaning even just, changing from banking to owning your own State Farm, right? Insurance company,
Correct.
and making sales and growing your business.
I think when you talk about authority, it goes hand in hand with purpose, right? So you guys asked me a great question earlier, tell me about yourself and your background, right? So one thing that I found people typically don't always share is, well, how did you choose your line of work, right? Because obviously right now I'm an insurance agent, but I could have stayed in banking. I could have went into product sales. I could have went a lot of different ways, right? So I do always like to share why financial services. And part of this reason I came up with this is one day I was thinking was like, why do you love financial services so much? I just was kind of curious about myself. And I did some thinking, and I remembered that when I was 8 years old, my mom bought me a video game called Wall Street Kid. And in that game, your uncle passed away, and he left you a lot of money for your inheritance. However, to prove that you were worthy of the money, you had to invest in the stock market and turn $1 million into 2 million within 30 days. And then after that, keep investing and growing throughout the game. And what I loved about that game was one, I was learning about the stock market, literally 8 years old. You also had to take care of your girlfriend. You would take her like shopping or to a picnic or things like that. And also you had to take care of your health. So you had to go hiking or go to the gym. Like it was a real all-encompass game, right? And so as a little kid, like I never beat the game. I just never didn't. But I loved that game since I was a kid. And from there became my love of financial services, which led to my purpose and, of course, also authority. And so the reason I share that story is I personally believe when you're looking at authority, it has to come from the belief in what you do is who you are. And you have to believe that that's your purpose on life, your purpose in this life, for whatever that may be. And so for my business, it's a lot deeper than just insurance and financial services. I legitimately believe that I was placed on this earth to help people with insurance and financial services. I believe that with every fiber of my being. And so when I make decisions for my business, I have three specific areas that I focus on. And so my team knows this when we have meetings, and they know it guides all of my decisions. So the number one focus for our agency is to be the first and best choice for insurance and financial services in the South Fulton area. If somebody wants financial services, I want them to think of my agency. The second thing is I want you to be the employer of choice. Somebody wants to work in insurance and financial services, give me a call, stop by. And the third one is to be a vital member of the community. I want South Fulton to be a better place because my office was here, right? So every decision that I got from my business to grow is always around those three categories. And so what I've done was from an authority standpoint, and I even do this with my prayers, is I pray and I've asked God this, and I say, God, I want you to send thousands of families for us to bless with our ministry of financial services. And I encourage anyone that has an organization or a business to think on that high of a level. So not just a couple people here or there, or I'm trying to get this thing off the ground. You could have just started your organization business yesterday, but you can still have the mindset of authority that one day this thing will reach hundreds of people, and then thousands of people, and then millions of people, right? So for me, I believe you have to already start with this is what I'm here for, this is my purpose, and then from there, walk into that authority, claim it. When things are going well, believe things are going to continue to go well. If things aren't going the way you want them to go, hey, meet with some people, make some tweaks, and make some changes, whatever you need to do to kind of move in a different direction. But for myself, I think that's what's important to me when I think about authority.
Well,
Okay.
awesome. When I say awesome, I think that is the best interview I've heard on anybody talking about, inspiring somebody to do something, just straight from the heart, of
Thank you.
owning a business or running a business or just operating in purpose. And so I'm big on people operating in their purpose, right? And so
Hmm.
that's one of the things. So we definitely got to talk to you about Bestie Finder, and people understanding and recognizing their gifts so they can become confident and start, operating, working towards their purpose and beginning to work in their purpose, right? So you got to tell me
Exactly.
the name of the game again for the 8-year-old
Um,
And
Kevin.
so the
do
game
they
is
still
called
publish it?
Wall Street Kid. So it came
Mhm.
out in 19 like 87, 88, something like that, long, long time ago. So had a little Caucasian kid on the front in a suit, and I swear I was that little kid. Like we look nothing alike, but that was me. When I
Right.
was a little kid in the 80s, you couldn't tell me that wasn't me. And I actually rediscovered the game around like 2010, 2012, something like that, just online, and I actually finally beat it. So I beat the game. Thank you. Right, yeah. I beat it 30 years later as an adult. But yeah, but that game inspired me, and since then I've always loved it.
And just imagine if everybody was to introduce their kid, and I know
Hmm.
everybody's not interested in financial services or interested in numbers, but at least to plant that seed to give them that little knowledge, you know what I'm saying? And if
Right.
but at least
Yeah,
they
I
can
think
apply it to their
yeah,
personal lives, if not to their business.
Yeah, I
Right.
think you're right. I think what it boils down to is it doesn't necessarily have to be insurance or financial services, but my mom took the time to buy that game because she saw something in me that was related to that.
Right.
And so, your child might be into music, they might be into art, they may be into math, they could be into a whole lot of different things. And I think what it boils down to is spending some time to invest at that early age because you never know where it's going to turn around, right? So yeah, to your point, I think if we did have that mindset of, you know what, I think, and also too, a lot of times parents stick with what they like and what they know, but you can't be afraid just to throw something random out there
That's
sometime. And
right.
you never know what kids are into, just let them try.
That's right. And so, that takes me back to the gifts because your mom recognized it she didn't may have not known what to call it, but she recognized your personality, your characteristics, and felt like that would be something really good for you. Which
Hmm.
and I'm thinking so for my grandson, because he has this. Look, he would play that thing until he beats it. He's very competitive, but just other things that just that I see in his characteristics that would say to me that
Exactly.
that's a good thing to introduce him to, a good game, and that
Absolutely.
could set them up for success. Look at you. That's
You never know.
you never know. I mean, Dr. Lisa, you have a question? I know I saw you.
Well, now that I know where to find the game and that it looks like it's still being published, I see if my 14-year-old is interested. Oh, excuse
Hmm.
me, my almost 15-year-old.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
He won't let me forget that.
Yeah.
No, but that was so awesome. So, if last question. So, if you were
Mhm.
mentoring someone, I mean, but what you just said really just broke it all down. But what
Really.
would you tell that person the very first thing that they need to do in order for them
Um,
to begin to own their authority?
the first thing has to be your why, right? So your why do you want to do this? And if your why is to make a lot of money, that's not going to
That's
work.
not it.
If your why is because you saw it on TikTok, that's not going to work. Your why has to be tied to something that you really actually love. So it's an old cliche, but they say find something that you love, you'll never work another day in your life, and it's absolutely true. There are a lot of days here I don't get lunch. I'm running around. I just literally work all day long, like the complete day, but I wouldn't trade it for anything because this is what I love to do, right?
Right.
So step one, you have to find your why. After you find your why, you got to create a plan. And the thing about the plan has to be, even if you don't know where the plan is going to end up, you at least have a roadmap. And with that roadmap, it can at least point you in the right direction. And from there, I always say, just work that plan. When you work that plan and see how much success that you can get, and as you come into hurdles, roadblocks, or things that don't necessarily go your way, you're going to have somebody in that space that can help you out. So, for instance, here at State Farm, we have a territory manager who has a lot more experience than me, works with other agents. And so, if there's a hurdle that I have, I can always call him and say, hey, what about this or what about that? At the same time, I can ask other agents, hey, I've only been an agent 5 years. You've been an agent for 30 years. What do you think about this type of situation, right? Because it's true that it takes a village. So, once you have your why and your plan, don't be afraid to reach out to your village for support, because more than likely people do want to see you succeed, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Awesome.